I am the greatest of all time. I knew it, but now I have to do it. Now it will be understood. From today, and for those in the future, this is a documentation. An understanding that there are those in this time period that was not going along with the lies. There are those who were actually considered woke. Right now, we have people claiming as if they are woke, or people being called woke who are not even aware, or who are working for an agenda that is detrimental to the freedom of man. You will know immediately after watching this series that those people are full of crap. May 1st, 1776, the Illuminati was created by Adam Weishaupt. May 1st, 2021 came the Calibration of Credibility. You will learn what that was all about. But not only that, right now you're about to learn the first rule in the rules of woke, and that is that the Illuminati still exist. May 1st, 1776, Adam Weishaupt founds the Illuminati, which originally had 5 members. March of 1776, Weishaupt was initiated into Freemasonry. By 1779, Weishaupt and his people gained complete control of the Munich Lodge. This is the mentality of them infiltrating the Freemason lodges.
I declare and I challenge all mankind to contradict my declaration that no man can give any account of the order of Freemasonry, of its origin, of its history, of its object, nor any explanation of its mysteries and symbols, which does not leave the mind in total uncertainty on all these points. Every man is entitled, therefore, to give an explanation of the symbols and a system of the doctrine that he can render palatable.
So it's very easy for them to go in there unnoticed. Nobody knows what's going on because it's secret. Wow. And they can just say, oh, they're just doing Freemason stuff, whatever that is. 1780, Baron von Nigg joined the Illuminati, which is significant because this was the most effective recruiter for the Illuminati, who changed the model of initiation from just, oh, we're going to go after moldable young men to, hey, let's go ahead, go after these people who have the influence already, who have the experience, basically friends in high places on steroids. He was able to talk them into joining. 1781, we get the first public verbal attack on the order coming from ex-Jesuit Ignatius Frank, calling them Masonic traitors, calling them brothers of Judas, saying that they are preparing the way for the Antichrist. July 16th, 1782, we have a major coalition happening. The Congress of Williamsbad assembled at the summer retreat of William I. He later became William IX. You must know William inherited one of the largest fortunes at the time in Europe, and he had Mayer Rothschild be his financial overseer, which gave birth to the massive wealth of what we know as the Rothschild dynasty. But back to the assembly. The most important Masonic Congress of the 18th century had everybody there. We had the Ferdinand, the Duke of Brunswick. He's also Grand Master of the Order of Strict Observance. We had delegates from Upper and Lower Germany. We had Holland. We had Russia. We had Italy. We had France, Austria, and of course, Illuminati's own Baron von Nigg. We got somebody who was actually at that meeting, got shook up. Yeah, they ain't gonna tell you everything that happened, but just listen to what they're saying. Mr. Henry said, "I do not entrust them to you," Henry replied in a tone of sad that Mr. Gillers looked prohibited. "I can only tell you is that all this is far more serious than you think. The conspiracy happening is so contrived that it will be virtually impossible for the monarchy and the church to escape it." So they were very popular in the Masonic streets. But in general, as far as Duke Karl Theodore is concerned, he did not want them around, which is why in June 22nd, 1784, we get an edict against secret and non-secret societies. Here's a quote. Whereas all committees, societies, and associations without approval from a public authority and the confirmation of the monarch are illegal, prohibited by law, suspect, and dangerous things in of themselves. Okay, so you would think, all right, they heard that, they ain't gonna do it no more. Well, March 2nd, 1785, Carl Theodore issues the second edict. Quote again, have been deeply affected and displeased to learn that the various lodges of the so-called Freemasons and Illuminati, who are still in our states, have taken so little heed of our general prohibition issued on June 22nd of last year against all fraternal societies, clandestine and unapproved, as to not only to hold meetings in secret, but even to raise funds and recruit new members, seeking to further increase the already large numbers. And on July 20th, 1785, we get Weishaupt and his little friend Jacob Lance. They was outside during a dang thunderstorm. Lance got struck by lightning, died right on the spot. Weishaupt fled away. The body of Lance was found, and they found a list of Illuminati members. And what you think happened? Another edict from Carl Theodore. Another quote, pushing for all members of the order to repent and register with the government within 8 days, on pain of severe punishment. Now, what we got was we did get some members coming forward. A lot of military people. You got state officials, professors, teachers, students, and some of them got banished from the country. So through all this, you got Weishaupt ducking and dodging, doing disguises, hiding in chimneys for 3 days. The Joker hid in a chimney for 3 days. Think about that. But even with all of that, they did not stop, which is why on August the 16th, 1786, Carl Theodore issues the fourth edict. And another quote, as more time passes, it is further realized how harmful and dangerous the order of the Illuminati will be for the state and religion if allowed to flourish here and beyond. It is impossible to predict the deplorable effects that will result for posterity if we stand back, if not handled very seriously while there is still time to forcefully eradicate a disease, which is far more daunting than the plague itself. We will not allow the futile excuse usually given, an honest society of good friends. So what the gatekeepers would tell you, they would want you to stop right there. It was all over. They just gave up their plans. No. How do we know? How do we know? No. Because on November 15th, 1790, the fifth edict came out. Quote, the elector has learned partly by the spontaneous confession of some members, partly by sound intelligence, that despite the edicts of July 14th, 1784, and August 16th, 1785, and in the same month, in 1787, the Illuminati still hold, albeit in smaller numbers, secret meetings throughout the electorate to attract young men to the cause, and have maintained a correspondence with secret societies and with members in other countries. Any member who has assisted in a secret meeting, has recruited new members, or corresponded with secret societies or brothers in other countries will be mercilessly punished by death. So that man was tired, sick and tired. What the heck were they doing that made him go this hard? But it must also be understood, they are not stopping. If they have this major global plan, do you think an edict is going to stop them? And then also, how do you end something when you don't know all of the members? They can easily be hid within the lodges around the world. Let's look at a quote from Adam Weishaupt.
The great strength of our order lies in its concealment. Let it never appear in any place in its own name, but always covered by another name and another occupation. None is fitter than the 3 lower degrees of Freemasonry. The public is accustomed to it, expects little from it, and therefore takes little notice of it.
Let's use logic. So if they're being banished from a specific area, what are they going to do? Either stop, or maybe they're going to go to another area where they can do the same stuff. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. J.J. Seabold, who became a future head of the order because Weishaupt had to leave, and Christian Wilhelm went to Paris in 1787 and they established a Illuminati lodge in France. Here's a quote from JJC Bold.
For France, we would adopt the name Philadelphia instead of Illuminati. And instead of intervals, we could say preparatory grades, aspirants.
And if you're wondering what Minervals are, that is the lower grade of the people just coming into the Illuminati, the new people. And the symbol is an owl. You may have seen that before. We will discuss that. And here's the most obvious conclusion. That it's never just been straight and direct. But it should be. They fled to America. Not saying Weishaupt himself, but the members that we don't know of, that could not be identified, obviously went to America. We got even a president, Thomas Jefferson, addressing that. He know who that is, but in a very strange way. That joker over there making him sound like he good, calling him an enthusiastic philanthropist. Look what he said. That his intention was simply to reinstate natural religion, and by diffusing the light of his morality, to teach us to govern ourselves. His precepts are the love of God and love of our neighbors, and by teaching innocence of conduct, he expected to place men in their natural state of liberty and equality. Y'all know that don't sound right. How is it Mr. Freedom himself not even suspicious of this guy? Look at him. He's very suspicious. Just looks like he's up to no good. But not only that, this ain't no saintly guy. It's a guy who cheated on his wife while she was on the deathbed and tried to abort the baby several times. This is some type of sophisticated Jim Jones whose followers think of suicide as a virtuous thing. And also, even on this website, who tries to paint him as nice. Look what they say. The founder of the Illuminati was Adam Weishaupt. He was born in 1748 and studied law at Ingolstadt University. He wanted to bring happiness and equality to all people. Okay, but what was the purpose? The Illuminati had a grand ambition of creating an equal world for all people ruled by the superior members of the Illuminati. So the trick joker was trying to rule the world. Here's a quote from him.
The whole plan of the order, then, is to form men, not by declamation, but by the protection and rewards which are due to virtue. We must sensibly bind the hands of the protectors of disorder and govern them without appearing to domineer. In a word, we must establish a universal empire over the whole world without destroying the civil ties. Under this new empire, all other governments must be able to pursue their usual process and to exercise every power, excepting that of hindering the order from attaining its ends and rendering virtue over vice.
He also says
The human race will then become one family, and the world will be the dwelling of rational men.
Another quote.
We cannot use people as they are, but begin by making them over.
Another quote.
You will incessantly form new plans and try every means in your respective provinces to seize upon the public education, the ecclesiastical government, the chairs of literature, and the pulpit.
This guy is a control freak. But it also adds to the suspicion, because what do we know? The founding fathers, most of them being Freemasons. And then we would have to know history. February 1828, there was something called the Anti-Masonic Party, which means, here we go again, a type of suspicion against Freemasonry. And this was the first third party in the United States. After William Morgan was found missing, William Morgan being a person who spoke up against them, which at this point we should all understand that Freemasons have been presidents and they hold many positions in the government, high positions, all type of positions. But what is not most commonly known or understood or even said is America is literally tailor-made for some type of Illuminati takeover. Meaning, you don't have Carl Theodore over here issuing edicts. You don't have the power of the Catholic Church holding people down, holding people back, telling them what to do. Here you got the freedom. And yes, you do have your First and your Second Amendment, which does restrict some of what they're trying to do. But all of that stuff being there, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, it also enables what they're trying to do, because they have the freedom to grow through Freemasonry and try those new plans that Adam Weishaupt was talking about, that trying every means that Adam Weishaupt wanted to do. See, the new way that they were going to do in America was learn from their mistakes. Instead of going in all secretly, which they did, but they also simultaneously did things out in the open, which would desensitize people and make them more accepting. They won't look into it anymore. Yes, I do have examples of what I'm talking about. You may have heard of it before. Council on Foreign Relations, the Business Council, Bohemian Grove, Trilateral Commission, Bilderberg meetings, Davos, all the billionaires meeting up. You go, yeah, but they do that all the time. Yeah, but that's just a cover. It's a reverse cover. Now you're not going to question it because it's out in the open. They've learned from their mistakes. When I think of Adam Weishaupt talking about using different names for what they're trying to do, one of the things that come up is Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale, and it also lines up with the plan of infiltrating the institutions and education. So you got the 2 in 1. It's probably more than that. Skull and Bones in general, though, there should be, like, for everybody should be like, well, why the heck is there a secret society at a college? Like, you shouldn't even be calling anybody a conspiracy theorist or calling names or anything unhinged when this is going on. It's weird. For what? And not only are these people having this secret society, but they're doing weird things.
This evening, getting under the skin of the Ivy League, those 8 old, definitely distinguished colleges that are known for their ivy-covered buildings and their sometimes superior attitudes to other colleges and universities, which often gets under the skin of people who went elsewhere. Yale University is 300 years old this year, and were you to visit its campus, you would see that it still has exotic clubhouses, which look like tombs where Yale's legendary secret societies meet. Their prestige and importance have largely evaporated, but the rituals are still a secret. And so when we heard that some enterprising characters had managed to spy on the famous Skull and Bones Society, we couldn't resist. Here's ABC's Dan Harris.
The videotape provides a grainy glimpse into what appear to be the initiation rituals of a secret society that's been around since 1832, whose members have gone on to be leaders of Wall Street and the White House, the Senate and the Supreme Court.
They're sort of trying to scare the initiates, make them, disorient them, frighten them.
New York Observer investigative reporter Ron Rosenbaum accompanied a team of Yale students who shot these pictures 9 days ago. Rosenbaum's curiosity about Skull and Bones was permanently piqued when, as a classmate of George W. Bush, he lived right next to the Tomb, the group's heavily fortified home. From their perch, Rosenbaum and his cohorts taped the Tomb's courtyard. What they captured, they say, was initiates, known as neophytes, being forced to kiss a skull, then members performing a mock killing. It may look like your average fraternity nonsense, but Rosenbaum says it's not.
Even though it may seem silly to us, it seems to mean something to them, and you can't argue with the success of Skull and Bones.
True. Famous alums include senators John Kerry and John Chafee, to name 2, cabinet secretaries such as Averell Harriman, and 3 presidents, William Taft, George Bush, and George W. Bush, who's been reluctant to talk about Skull and Bones.
Does it still exist? The thing is so secret, I'm not even sure it still exists.
In recent years, by many accounts, the on-campus influence and allure of Skull and Bones has waned dramatically, and there is no proof that the rituals recently caught on videotape are the same ones performed by the current president. Still, Rosenbaum says the tape is a valuable artifact, an extremely rare view into the secret society that groomed the American ruling class for generations.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
wild.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322?
First of all, he's not the nominee. And, look, I look
Are
forward...
you prepared to lose?
No, I'm not going to lose.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, a secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets, Tim, but one thing is not a secret. I disagree with this president's direction that he's taking the country. We can do a better job, and I intend to do it.
And we'll be watching. Be safe on the campaign trail, John.
There seems to be no middle ground about this organization. Either the group is viewed as the warm-up act for the Trilateral Commission, or it is a society devoted to making people think that it's nefarious and then giggling when people take it seriously. Which is it closer to being?
It's actually closer to the middle ground. There are conspiracy theories that you'll hear that are based on nuggets of truth. For example, they really do tell their sexual histories. That's something that both Bush and Kerry would have done. The sole purpose of Skull and Bones is to get members into positions of power, and then to have those members hire other members to prominent positions, which is something that President Bush has done. Basically, this is probably the most powerful and elite alumni network in the country, and that's the significance of Skull and Bones.
Well, what happens when two bonesmen are in conflict, like, say, if they run against each other for president? Are there rules of conduct among bonesmen to cover this?
I've actually asked members of Skull and Bones what happens if it's a Bush-Kerry election. They told me they don't care. It's a win-win situation for Skull and Bones.
So there is no instruction, and there's nothing that prevents, obviously there's nothing that would prevent Kerry from running against the sitting bonesman, and so this is a secret society with all these rules and help your fellow bonesmen up until a point.
Well, this is an organization that's basically one huge superiority complex, and they're just thrilled to have bonesmen running against bonesmen, because that means that no matter who wins, there's going to be a connection in the White House for them.
And if we broke into that place on High Street in New Haven, Connecticut, we would see what?
Oh,
something
gosh.
that looked like a Harry Potter adventure ride at an amusement park?
Something like that. You'd see dozens of skulls, skeletons, art celebrating death, war memorabilia, and several allegedly stolen items that bonesmen supposedly were supposed to take as gifts to the society's goddess. I am not making this up.
And what happened to her?
Well, according to Skull and Bones legend, in 322 BC, which is why you see the number 322 associated with bones, the Greek orator Demosthenes died. When he died, the goddess Eulogia, whom Skull and Bones calls the goddess of eloquence, arose to the heavens, and she didn't happen to come back down again until 1832, when Russell formed Skull and Bones. So now everything in the society is done in deference to this goddess. They have sacred anthems to her, they have a shrine to her, and they're supposedly encouraged to go steal things and bring them back to her in the tomb.
Now I get it.
So that stuff is strange, but not only that, they have the same type of process of having the initiates tell their whole lives to the superiors, so that way they can get blackmailed and controlled. Also, it is a form of binding everyone together. Let's look at what they did in the original Illuminati. This was said by an Illuminati member, confessing Clemens. The order of the Illuminati demands blind obedience of subordinates to their superior. Upon his admission, each member had to produce a specially ordered chart of all of his personal, family, economic, and political relationships, and even hand over a detailed history of his earlier life. A sort of ongoing confession was prescribed monthly. It's the same stupid crap that Bush had to do, that Kerry had to do, and all these other people. But there's one thing out of all of them that's probably the most disturbing, that lets you know something is wrong, is that there is a Bohemian Grove ceremony every year. You get all these politicians going, these members of media, and they're over there holding rituals, worshiping a owl, screaming, doing mock human sacrifices. And you would think, like, if everything is normal, the media would report on as a sensational title. Say, for instance, TMZ. They would talk about how the Republicans are going there, like Clinton said.
Fraud. The Bohemian Club, as you say, the Bohemian Club? That's where all those rich Republicans go up and stand naked against redwood trees, right? I've never been to the Bohemian Club, but you ought to go. It'd be good for you. Get some fresh air.
I mean, you got big names going there. You had Richard Nixon go there. You had Ronald Reagan go there. George Bush, regular, him and the son. Newt Gingrich. And it's these Republicans who are supposed to be like this conservative, supposed to be against gay rights is what they pretend to do. But then you have men dressing like women, and then you're bringing in male prostitutes.
Let's look at Northern California. You understand? Yeah. You know what's happening in San Francisco just gone. It's clear over. I know that, but it isn't just down in the ratty part of town. But the upper class in San Francisco is that way. The Bohemian Grove that I attend one time at a time. The Easterners and the others that come there. But it is the most faggy goddamn thing you will ever imagine. The San Francisco crowd that goes in. It's just terrible. I mean, I never want to shake hands with anybody in San Francisco.
It's something, again, if this was a normal world, TMZ would be reporting on it. But it's like they know what to report on and what not to report on. And then it's an owl. The Minervals, the original Illuminati had the Minervals. How is it, out of all things, a freaking owl that they are worshiping?
The owl is in his leafy temple. Let all within the grove be reverent before him. Lift up your heads, O ye trees, and be ye lifted up, ye everlasting spires. For behold, here is Bohemia's shrine, and holy are the pillars of this house. Weaving spiders, come not near. This grove, dear boon companions of the long ago, aye, let them join us in this ritual. Not a place be empty in our midst. O beauty's vassals, who hold in this gray autumn of the world her springtime in your heart, attend our tale. Gather, ye forest folk, and cast your spell over these mortals. And in the flames that eat thine effigy, we shall read the sign, Midsummer sets us free. Ye shall burn me once again!
Now with these flames, which hither ye have brought from regions where I reign, ye fools and priests, I spit upon your fire.
Wow. Prince of all mortal wisdom, Owl of Bohemia, we beseech thee, grant us thy counsel. Begone, dull care. Fire shall have its will of thee. Begone, dull care, and all the winds make merry with thy doubts. Hail, fellowship's eternal flame. Once again, Midsummer sets us free.
So you need to see that to understand that there is a fellowship going on that you are not a part of. There is a whole nother entire world that you don't know on a daily basis. All you hear is the left is fighting the right. The white is fighting the black. That's a game they playing on you, Joker. And even this, a list of the Skull and Bones members. You can see a list of some of the people. that is also a game, because now they push it out in the open again, so you then not look into it later. The 1830s, these people you don't know, but look, they were representatives from New York. You had professors, Chief Justice, Governor of Connecticut, all these people, Yale president. They get in these key roles and positions because they were part of the Skull and Bones. And they're also being led to continue in that one mind, that one goal. If they step out of line, well, they're just going to get exposed because they told all of the bad stuff that they've done. And they are also being allowed to do bad things so that way it accumulates and then it can be used against them. Also, when you see these Skull and Bones people, look at the names. They are being built from the ground up. Sometimes, say for instance, they see somebody with a lot of influence, but they might not be able to get to that person. Okay, well, what they'll do is they'll build their own type of people. And when they build them from the ground up, meaning all of the success they got, majority of that is due to them being in Skull and Bones or Council on Foreign Relations or Freemasonry or whatever. The connections have been made for them. And then guess what? They owe, because they know everything that they've got, or majority of what they've got, is because of their affiliation. This is how they get a lot of these people. So a lot of these people don't mind the blind loyalty. But then here's something notable I want you to see here. Out of all these names, Winston Lord, the chairman on the Council of Foreign Relations. Let's look at Council on Foreign Relations. They do that same smart thing. They put their members out. Look how many members, 5,000. So these are the same people of that one mind. I want you to go down. You notice any of these names? You notice, ooh, who that? Stacey Abrams. But I thought she was against the establishment. This is just one of the latest people of the time who they push out and make seem like they're some type of a hero when they're working for the agenda all along. The one mind would lead to the one world that Weishaupt wanted. The United Nations represent not a final stage in the development of world order, but only a primitive stage. Therefore, its primary task is to create the conditions which will make possible a more highly developed organization. And you're going to see these people who went through these societies push for this same type of goal.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
The affirmative task we have now is to actually create a new world order, because the global order is changing again. And the institutions and the rules that worked so well in the post-World War II era for decades, they need to be strengthened, and some have to be changed.
There's a need for a new world order, but it has different characteristics in different parts of the world.
Never before has a new world order had to be assembled from so many different perceptions or on so global a scale. Nor has any previous order had to combine the attributes of the historic balance of power system with global democratic opinion and the exploding technology of the contemporary period.
After 1989, President Bush said, and it's a phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a new world order.
And the hope that each of us has to build a new world order.
And I strongly believe India will be a central actor in the new world order.
New world order, उसने आकार लिया.
It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law. Such is a world worthy of our struggle and worthy of our children's future.
Remember, this is just the first rule. More details I will break down. I just want you to have the general understanding. You can't trust the Council on Foreign Relations members. You can't trust the Bilderberg attendees. You can't trust the Davos people. You can't trust the Skull and Bones people. The Yale graduates who just so happen to end up in media because they're going to twist it and their loyalty is to someone else. The Freemasons are loyal to someone else before you. And he talks about this new world order as if it's this great thing. But the means that they go about to get to that destination is what shows you the true intention. This is something bad. For example, the Gulf War was started based upon a lie. This chick right here is going to say a lie. And Bush himself, Mr. New World Order and Peace, is going to use this lie to bring about the war.
While I was there, I saw the Iraqi soldiers come into the hospital with guns. They took the babies out of the incubators, and left the children to die on the cold floor.
I myself buried 14 newborn babies that had been taken from their incubators.
Kids in incubators, and they were thrown out of the incubators so that Kuwait could be systematically dismantled.
Redsilverj, all I gotta say.